Hi everyone, Arian from IgnitePOST here, and today I'm super excited to do a quick walkthrough of how to set up the abandoned cart flow on IgnitePOST Shopify app. So first of all, what do I mean by setting up an abandoned cart flow? Using IgnitePOST Shopify app, you can actually set up an automated flow to send a personalized real pen and ink handwritten card to recover customers who start the checkout process on your store and end up not finishing it. So you can actually win these customers back by sending them a very personalized handwritten note at exactly the right time. And I'm going to show you how to do it right now, as well as give you some best practices and tips we've seen be very successful for some other folks. So if you're on this page, what you've done is you've installed the IgnitePOST Shopify app and now have clicked into create an abandoned cart flow. So the first thing that you want to do when you create the flow is actually give it a name. So, I just gave this a generic name, so abandoned checkout flow number 1. Name it anything, but it's something that is going to be memorable for yourself. So if you're going to have a win-back flow, maybe call this the abandoned cart win-back sequence, something that allows you to identify it easily. So the first thing to do is to actually set the return address that's going to be written on the outside of the envelope. So keep in mind, all of the handwritten note that we send are 5x7 folded cards that arrive in a handwritten envelope. So this section here, the sender address details, enables you to write anything you want in the return address so that when somebody sees this in the mail, they know that it came from you. So as an example, I just have a fictitious sample IgnitePOST store for the return address here, but you can edit these details to put anything you want for the return address that you need. The next thing to set up is the mailing address. So as a best practice, I always leave the first option checked here, which is to send to the shipping address, otherwise to use the billing address. Up to you what you really want to use, but I typically leave it on that because if you are going to be shipping products to folks, typically they've entered a shipping address because they need to get the product from you. So that address is typically there and present to use. And then if not, we can always fall back and use the billing address. Depending on what options you want, you can select whatever makes the most sense for you. You can also choose instead to use the billing address first and then default to shipping if that doesn't exist. Or you can just explicitly say, listen, only use the shipping address or only use the billing address. I'm going to leave it on that first option as best practice like I talked about. Next, you need to set up the actual handwritten note. So what do you want sent when somebody starts checking out and then abandon? Keep in mind we use Shopify's definition of abandoned cart. So anytime that the Shopify store itself identifies that a customer has abandoned their cart, that's when this flow will be triggered. So with that being said, you need to figure out what message you want to send to the specific customer. So here we have a quick message that just says, yeah, I saw you started checking out on our site but didn't end up finishing. We appreciate you. Come back. Please finish your checkout. And to help out, we included a direct link to your cart below. So there's a couple of best practices that I'd like to go through here. The first thing is let's actually personalize it. So let's say, hi, first name. So an interesting thing is if you look down here on the bottom, if you click this drop down, it gives you some options to actually pull in and personalize your message. So this will be the first name of the customer who started checking out and then abandoned their cart. So hi, first name, I saw you started checking out, didn't end up finishing. We appreciate all of our customers. I wanted to invite you back. To help out, I included a direct link to your cart below. So let's actually include the link to the cart. So I will position my cursor here, and then again, if I click on drop down here, you actually have the option to put the abandoned cart link in. We actually have a dedicated short URL that is yourcart.shop/ the person's first name and then first letter of their last initial. So we actually personalize this, and it will be a nice, easy to read, easy to remember short link that gets entered here. So now I've personalized the message. I've included the cart link. Let's sign it. Arian, let's say I'm a store owner. Great. Now if I wanted to, I can also alter and change the handwriting style depending on what matches my handwriting the best. So I'm going to leave it on this style here, but we have everything ranging from something that's relatively neat and very kind of perfect penmanship to less perfect penmanship, but it just kind of depends on what your style is. One thing to note as well is we introduce penmanship variation. So when you actually look at this on a written out card, it won't, all of the letters won't look the same, all of the A's won't look the same, all the B's won't look the same, etc. It will look very neutral. Here on the screen, that's not the case because this is a font, but when we actually use our robotics to write things out, it looks very natural, and it's not a font, it's an actual handwriting style. So I've got my card set up here, and then lastly, I want to set up a design. So we give you a couple of default options to choose from. I'll leave it here on this thank you. If you want to upload your own image, so your own logo, or let's say you wanted to turn a specific link into a QR code or have a specific offer, you can also put that here on the front of the card and actually reference it on the inside of the card. We've seen that work very well. But it's up to you. You have full control over what you want the image to say on the front of the card. And then lastly, there's a couple of advanced settings down here. So the first advanced setting, if you check it, only sends a card to a customer once. So each unique customer will only get at most one handwritten card for you for the abandoned cart checkout flow here. So if somebody keeps coming to your site, adding things to the cart, and continues to bounce, you won't continue to send them specific handwritten notes to try to recover them. So I always like to keep that checked as a best practice. The second option here is to only send a card to a person if the cart value is greater than a certain amount. So I have this set at $50. So basically anytime somebody abandons a checkout and they have $50 or more in their cart, in that instance is when this card would get triggered. If they have less than $50 in their cart, nothing happens. The flow does not get triggered. And then lastly, the Webhook endpoint. This is an endpoint that we, IgnitePOST, will ping anytime an order gets put in the mail and sent to a customer. So if you want to send perfectly timed follow-up emails to complete the communication loop, you can actually use this Webhook endpoint. So you can point this to your email program, your CRM, anything else that you want. But anytime a card gets put in the mail, we will ping this endpoint, and this way you can have a pre-configured email that goes out and says, hi Arian, I hope you got my card in the mail. Just wanted to follow up and make sure it arrived. If not, let me know how else I can help you. So we've seen a lot of success using this to complete the full communication loop and create these very personalized experiences, but the ability to do so at scale. So that's another kind of best practice to use. There's some literature and information on IgnitePOST's website if you're interested in learning more. So with that, that's it. The last thing you have to do is just make sure that this Turn Abandoned Cart Flow On radio button is checked, and you click Update or Create, and that will add that flow to your list of flows that you have set up. And so here you can see I have two post-purchase flows set up. This one on the bottom here is the one that we just set up. It's active. At any point, if I wanted to change what the card said, what the triggers are, some of the advanced settings, you can do that at any time by just coming back here, clicking Edit, and then going and making whatever changes you want. So with that, let us know if there's any way that we can help you out. Support@ignitepost.com is the best way to get a hold of our team if you have any questions, or if you just want to chat through some best practices and come up with a strategy that will work and maximize your ROI. We're always standing by. Don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon.